you would just love to be bring in more patients into the practice, well, you're in the right place. This is Chen Yen, 6 and 7 figure practice makeover mentor at introvertedvisionary.com and your host for the American Acupuncture Council show today. There are 3 tips I'm going to give you today that can help you with bring in more patients when you would like to have them. One great way to do this, especially when you're slow, is to be connecting with your patient base by email. And why email? Because it is low hanging fruit for you. Think about it. Your patients trust you the most because they have that connection and relationship with you. The other possibility of bringing in patients is to get new people to hear about you and trust in you, which is likely a bit of a longer process typically compared to your existing patient base. And you could be connecting with your existing patient base to encourage them to come back for treatments, to refer other people to you, also to perhaps you might have other kinds of services or offerings that they may not even know about or not be as familiar with, so they could be benefiting from those too. So let's talk about, if you did have a desire to do this and be pulling in patients from this, what are some hot tips related to this? I would say a lot of acupuncturists don't do this right now because they're busy. Like, they don't have a consistent way of staying in touch with their patient base. 9 times out of 10, when I ask acupuncturists if they stay connected with their patient base, it's many times it's no, or infrequent, or not consistent. So the first tip is that consistency brings awareness about you. Consistency brings trust. So do you have a schedule of communication with your patients by email, whether it is once a month, whether it is twice a month, or more frequently than that? Or do you just never do it, or do you do it only when you think about it? So consistency can do so much for your practice, because just think about it. What are some of the reasons why people aren't coming in or not using your services to its fullest extent, or referring? It's because they may not put the two and two together. Or even, have you ever had times when you've helped patients with one thing and then they didn't even realize you could help them with something else? It's so obvious to you, but it doesn't cross their mind that you could help them with a different kind of a health issue. And that might be the case for, they might already have people in their lives, friends, family, people they know who they could be referring to you, but because they don't even put the two and two together about how you can help them, they don't even think about it. And so how can you educate them, make them continuously more and more aware about the benefits of acupuncture? Or for some of you who are doing other things like functional medicine or nutrition and other kinds of creative things too, how can you educate them about that consistently so that they start understanding more and seeing you more and referring more? So that's tip number one. The second tip to bring in more patients from email when you are slow is that not only educate in your emails, but also be letting people know what you have to offer. So making an offer. That's one of the biggest mistakes I often see. So I know an acupuncturist who was telling me she actually sends out emails pretty regularly to her patient base. And then she said, well, I wish I would get more patients coming in from my emails. And then I had a look at her emails, and I noticed that it was missing many times. She gave a lot of good information, but many times it was missing a call to action of what step you would like the readers to take, whether it's booking an appointment with you or taking you up on some kind of an offer you're providing them. Having a good call to action can make a big difference, and one that doesn't make you feel like you're being pushy or awkward or salesy or anything like that. You could DM me actually, and I'm happy to give you, like, PM me. And if you see this, if you're on YouTube, then you can reach out at introvertedvisionary.com. So introvertedvisionary.com, and then fill out a contact form, and then ask me for it. I'll give it to you. But if you're watching us on other platforms, then just private message me or comment in below in the chat. You could be saying that would book more patients and or have people take you up on what you have to offer. Now, when we talk about offer, some of you might think, well, I don't know, I don't do discounts or anything like that. So what do you mean by offer? I don't think I can give an offer. So first, let's talk a little bit about that. For some of you, some acupuncturists are good with this. Like they do things like new patient treatment specials. And if you want to do that, then that could be an example of an offer. So we're going to first talk about specials and different offering kinds of things. And then we're going to talk about what if you don't want to do anything special like that because you really are against discounts, which is totally fine, right? But if you look at new treatment specials, some of you might think, well, I don't want to discount my fees with that, which is totally, I agree. For the most part, I don't always advocate discounting, but think about the value to you in attracting one patient who comes back weekly or even monthly. That could end up being, let's say you charge $100 a visit. If they come back weekly for a month, that's like $400, right? And over the course of a year, let's say if they came in monthly, that's $1,200 over the course of a year. So is it worth it to you to perhaps give some kind of a treatment special for the initial visit, and they end up being patients of yours, and so it ends up balancing out in the end. Now, as far as the other kinds of things, if you choose to give special offers at different times, can be you bring up perhaps about your herbs, maybe some of your herbs or supplements. Maybe you are going to do some kind of a special about it. So could you explain more about how a certain herb can be good to keep in their cabinet if they get sick, or being able to educate them on different herbs or supplements or products that you may have. We have clients right now who are bringing another stream of income from that, whether it's herb supplements or products, and anywhere between $1,000 a month to $10,000 a month and even more. And one of the strategies that one of our clients uses is to doing periodic sales of this, very like at least quarterly sales with this. And so he shares this with his email list about it, and brings in extra income from it. So that's one other thing. Now, as far as what if you don't want to give a savings, and you don't have to, no problem. So what could an offer be? An offer really doesn't have to be anything crazy with discounts and that kind of thing. It could just be you mentioning an aspect of how you could help people, because they might have come to you for one health issue. It doesn't cross their mind at all that you could help them with different kind of health issues. So just simply by you educating people on a particular health issue and how acupuncture or functional medicine or nutrition or whatever you can help people with can help, that brings that to the forefront of their mind, and you're going to be more likely to attract patients because of that. And then you just compelling calls to action where it's very clear, how are they going to take that next step with you? Are they going to book an appointment, and what to say there so that it's most effective, having previous patients come in and also new patients get referred in. So again, if you want the languaging that's helping our clients with booking more appointments through the email with that, then just private message me. Now let's talk about the third tip. So it is to, in your emails, have you ever felt like, okay, this sounds good, Chen, but I don't know what to say in my emails, and I'm not a good writer, or even if I am, I just draw a blank about what to say, and then it might feel so time consuming to come up with something, so I just don't do it. But would it be worth it to you if you were to share and educate, and then be getting, like, even if you got an extra couple of patients a week, would it be worth it to you to be a bit busier? And that's just being conservative there. If you have a system in place that works, which many of our clients do because we give it to them. As far as the hot tip is, so one thing that I would say is I recommend varying up the emails a bit. So I've seen some acupuncturists send out things like newsletters, and sometimes there are so many different things within that newsletter. And how many of you are really busy? Imagine if you got a newsletter from someone all the time and it was really long with different sections. Like, do you read everything? Probably not, right? So it's helpful to vary the length of your emails. Sometimes super sweet and short with a way to book with you or pay you for whatever service that you're offering, or products or supplements or herbs. So vary up the length of the emails. And then the other thing is to be aware that there are different types of buyers, right? So this is something that's really interesting. And when I first heard about it, I thought, wow, I never really thought about it this way. So we all have different way we go about making decisions with wants to purchase. And this goes for, even if you don't look at your patients as buyers, you just look at them as patients. They still, each one of them has their own viewpoint of how they go about making decisions. So I'm going to share this with you here in a moment so that you could apply it to your practice. Even if you never send out a single email, this is going to help you within your practice. So I'm going to show this to you in a moment. Those of you who do have interest in getting free email templates from us, as far as what has worked for our clients to get them busier when they're slow, you can go to www.newpatientsintrovertedway.com/templates. So again, it's www.newpatientsintrovertedway.com/templates. And I'll see about popping the link in the comment section as well. So let's talk about the 4 types of buyers. So this is really interesting. There are 4 types of buyers. And as I share this with you, I want you to think about what you are. So one type of buyer is the competitive type of buyer. These are the kind of buyers who they are pretty fast with their decision making. They are logical. Also, they tend to be deadline dancers. So they will. They're the kind of people who, if you ever did give people offers, like if you did have certain specials going on, they'll try to ask you if they can still get the deal, like after the sale's over, kind of thing. And then they also are one of those people who try to test how late they can get to the airport and still make it on time. So if you think you're more of a competitive kind of a buyer, go ahead and type in the chat competitive, and might be, and some of your patients might be spontaneous buyers. So spontaneous buyers are, they tend to buy from emotion, and but they're like spontaneous about their decisions. And then there are methodical buyers. So methodical buyers are buyers who tend to ask a question with another question, and need to know all the details. They like to know all the facts and everything like that. Sometimes they could be a bit slower in their decision making. How many of you think you're more of a methodical buyer? Go ahead and type in the chat methodical. Or if you think you're more of a spontaneous buyer, then type in the chat spontaneous. And then the 4th type of buyer is the humanistic kind of a buyer. So this is a kind of buyer who is more moved by stories and feeling. They go by feeling a lot and emotions. So they might not make a decision as quickly as a spontaneous buyer would, but they still, they will feel it and then they will make the decision. And so how many of you think you're more of a humanistic buyer? Like you get motivated by hearing other people's success stories and that kind of thing. So this is something to keep in mind, because why is this important for you and your practice, and why is it important as it relates to email? If you are, for example, let's say you're looking at emailing someone about who is a methodical buyer. Well, if those people want a lot of details about things, so if you don't share a lot of details, then they might feel like they need to know more details, right? And then the humanistic kind of buyers is if you share certain things and it's a lot of details, it might overwhelm them. It might their eyes might glaze over, and then they won't move forward or anything like that. What they need is to feel into it that they need it, or they feel they're emotionally connected to perhaps, it working for someone else, or that kind of a feeling. Right. So what that means is that in what you send out, it's helpful to vary up your emails so that you are meeting the different types of buyers and what they tend to want to know about before they actually make a decision. How this could help you as far as bring in more patients by email if you don't have a list, or if you don't have any kind of email software. So here's the thing. Even if you don't have a list, you can, if you do have patients, even if you have 5 patients, you could still do this in terms of some of the strategies that I'm sharing with you. For example, let your patient base know about a particular kind of health issue and how acupuncture could be really beneficial for that. Also, you could be inspiring referrals within the practice. So these kinds of principles can still apply to your practice, and you could either share them verbally, or you could be having what we talked about here in the email, what you send out, it could be in marketing materials. So instead that you provide within the office. So physically you can give it to them. And at the same time, see if you can start, connecting with your patients outside of just within the practice. Because what about patients who haven't been in a while? We had a client of ours, an acupuncturist, who we gave her an exact template of what to send, and she actually offered something that was a detox program, and she made, it was like $3,000 or $4,000 from one email. And she had someone who emailed her who hadn't been in her practice for over 10 years, and she bought it, and she was really surprised. She's like, oh, I didn't even know she would read my emails. So this is the power of having a way to stay connected even when your patients aren't actively seeing you. So if you have that writer's block, or if you feel like it's just not enough time in the day to do something like this, even though you can see how this could be an avenue that can bring patients in for you, then grab the free templates that I'm promising you. This is from our new patients from email system. And you can go to www.newpatientsintrovertedway.com/templates. And then I download the templates, and you start using it in your practice. Whether you plan on sending emails or not, you could use elements of it within your practice to bring in more new patients into your practice. So that way you could focus more on just helping people instead of worrying about where to find more patients. And if you're in a place where you're at a plateau in your practice and you just know that you're capable of so much more, and you would love to have a practice you're proud of, that it's fulfilling for you and making 6 and 7 figures the introverted way, feel free to reach out to us at introvertedvisionary.com, and happy to help you grow your practice faster with less stress. So till next time,